This is CBC Here and Now.
He's one of the most outspoken critics of the Muskrat Falls project, and a scathing report released this week proves he was right all along. Yet Ron Penny still feels as though he failed.
We'll get to Terry's story in a moment. First, though, pandemic problems spreading, and yet Newfoundland and Labrador remains COVID-19 free, though that hasn't stopped local businesses from trying to be proactive. Here Now's Peter Cowan reports on what companies here are doing to stay safe.
The parking lot at Johnson Insurance is empty today. The employees here are all working from home. The company says it's temporary while they clean the building. One employee came into contact with someone who had flu-like symptoms. That person hasn't tested positive for coronavirus, but the company says we have temporarily closed the building to sanitize the space. All of our employees are working from home as they're fully equipped to work remotely. We continue to operate as usual and are available to serve our customers. Other companies on the Avalon aren't closing, but are doing what they can to minimize gatherings. Verifin is asking employees to work from home if possible, and the big company party planned for tomorrow is postponed. It's easier for technology companies. Most work can be done remotely, but smaller businesses are jumping on board as well. ClearRisk in St. John's has closed. The CEO and the 15 employees are all working from home.
If we had customers coming in all the time and we were, had that type of business, we'd still be open. But again, because it was so easy for us to do, it kind of like, let's kind of take a leadership role here. Let's just err on the side of caution. And let's take a few days to see what happens. And if this turns out to be not much ado about nothing, it's really cost us nothing.
There's a new advisory today from Public Health for long-term care homes. If you've traveled outside of the province, stay away for 14 days. Seniors are some of the most vulnerable to this disease. The provincial government, Memorial University, and College of the North Atlantic are all cancelling out-of-province travel. But with Easter break around the corner, what about personal trips?
People need to think carefully about travel because this disease is spreading around the globe, and as we've seen in the last week to week and a half, it has changed dramatically in that time. And going away for a week, you could end up in a very different situation when you're ready to come home than when you left.
Some people in the province are in self-isolation or quarantine after returning from abroad, but after more than 50 tests, none have come back positive. For now, health officials aren't telling organizers to cancel events, just be aware of the risks. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife Sophie are now self-isolating after she began showing symptoms of COVID-19. That forced the cancellation of today's First Minister's meeting in Ottawa.
Gather we may be meeting with the premiers and the Prime Minister by telephone tomorrow, but that's just an indication of how quickly events are developing. We are all rightly concerned about the global crisis that we are facing.
Now, the meeting was set to discuss Canada's response to the pandemic. The prime ministerial couple will remain at home awaiting the results of Sophie Gregoire Trudeau's test. The Prime Minister himself is not showing any symptoms of coronavirus. Meanwhile, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has also gone into isolation as a precaution.
Tonight has been postponed. You are all safe.
With COVID concerns spilling into the world of sports, the NBA took the extraordinary measure last night and made the call to suddenly put its season on hold. And that game you're seeing there between Oklahoma City and Utah was stopped even before it started. This after a Utah player tested positive for coronavirus. National Hockey League doing the same. It too has suspended its season. Commissioner Gary Bettman said, given that the NHL and the NBA share so many of the same facilities, things like locker rooms, for instance, it's highly likely that someone involved in professional hockey will soon test positive for COVID-19 as well. Bettman says for now, it's just not appropriate to play. Locally, no word on how this will affect pro hockey and pro basketball at Mile One Centre. And finally, Canada's biggest night in music will go silent. The 2020 Juno Awards set for Sunday in Saskatoon, they have been canceled. Organizers say it was a devastating decision, but the right one. They'll be exploring other ways to honor this year's winners. And an update now on a St. John's couple that we told you about last night on Here and Now. Tom Davis and his wife Bev have been self-quarantined since they got back from a trip to Italy last week. The couple was also on a cruise On Friday, nurses in protective gear went to their home to swab and examine them for the virus. Davis got those results back today, and he tells CBC News that he and his wife do not have the disease. And in a post today, the pair says, "We want to take the time to emphasize the importance of taking extraordinary measures to slow down the spread of all infectious diseases, including enhanced hygiene, as well as self-quarantining." Davis and his wife wore masks on their flights home. They also sent their children to stay with family, and they self-quarantined upon return. Well, as health experts across the country ask Canadians to think twice about their travel plans, tourism operators in this province are starting to talk about what the COVID-19 outbreak will mean for them. As Here and Now's Garrett Barry reports, the uncertainty is worrisome.
So this is from Catherine and Daniel from Switzerland. They said thank you so much for the hospitality. We spent a wonderful time here.
Last year, the Harbour Lights Inn welcomed visitors from all over. Switzerland, Alabama, even Germany. But this coming tourism season, hard to predict. So it's fingers crossed.
It's just a watch and see right now. When it comes to the bookings are on the same standard as last year. I haven't seen a decrease in bookings. I haven't seen no cancellations as of right now. So we're hoping that trend continues.
Except for a few bus tours, the region's tourism association also hasn't seen many cancellations yet. Likely because Twillingate is rural, remote, and considered relatively safe. But the big worry is if people stop traveling to the province.
The majority of them are not on those bus tours. The majority are people that are driving in, whether they're renting a car in St. John's or whether they've driven onto the island and come across Port aux Basques and are leaving Argentia or wherever.
Most operators in Twillingate are fairly small, with only a handful of rooms. But the Anchor Inn has 26. That means group tours and group bookings, but it might also mean group cancellations.
For group bookings, generally you're looking at lead times of 60 to 90 days. They've got to sell that tour. So if they've got 40 people that they're trying to sell a tour to, then you're going to see them be more cautious about how they're going to fill it.
Scott owns an inn, a restaurant, and operates boat tours. He's invested his life into tourism, but in times like these, he says he has obligations that are much greater than the bottom line, like making sure his establishments don't spread the disease.
We not only have a responsibility for the people that's visiting our establishments, we have a responsibility to our personnel. Our employees are very important to us. I mean, that's what runs our business, really. So, of course, and they have responsibility to their families also, and to communities.
He says his best option is to follow the advice from the authorities. Garrett Barry, CBC News, Twillingate.
A historic occasion, but a solemn one.
A special ceremony at the Rooms is 200 years in the making. The remains of a Beothuk couple have finally been returned.
We've got some blizzard conditions on the go up through parts of coastal Labrador. That's really going to continue as we head through the night tonight, even into the first half of tomorrow. Looks like a lovely day on tap for most of the island as we head into the weekend, but because the weekend is here, there's another storm, or at least another system on the way. It looks like a windy and wintry mix will move across the province as we head into Saturday, and then some snow into Sunday as well. I'll have all those details coming up.
Well, he was the politician who introduced the province to the Muskrat Falls project, and he remains one of its biggest champions. Danny Williams has weighed in on the final report of a public inquiry that describes Muskrat as a misguided project. Danny Williams' reaction is generating its own reaction. Here Now's Terry Roberts has that story.
Yesterday, it was former Nalcor boss Ed Martin.
This is still the right project. The right decision was made.
Early this morning, reporters received this statement from Danny Williams, Premier until 2010 and the man who put the pieces in place for Muskrat to become a reality. Williams is out of the country, not available for interviews, but like Ed Martin, took direct aim at Justice Richard LeBlanc's strongly worded report. To insinuate elected officials or public servants ever willfully jeopardize the well-being of our citizens is, from my perspective, deeply offensive, Williams wrote, adding that muskrat was only approved following 6 long years of thoughtful, detailed, and thorough analysis. And Williams criticized LeBlanc for what he called hindsight bias, saying he ignored evidence, and that LeBlanc is categorically wrong for suggesting the government was intent on developing muskrat at all cost. For those who long criticize Muskrat Falls and feel vindicated by LeBlanc's report, the refusal by Williams and Martin to accept his findings is head-shaking.
They seem to be living in some sort of alternate universe.
They were delusional in 2010 and are still delusional.
In his statement, Williams predicts this province will become the envy of the world. Penny and Hollett have an opposite view.
We're in a desperate situation in this province, and we're going to be in a real fight for our survival over the next 4 or 5 years.
If he means by envy that people will use as an example of how never to behave when dealing with the project, then yes, he's absolutely right.
Williams acknowledges there were challenges and flaws with the project, but he says the province needed the power, that electricity rates were going up anyway, and that Muskrat is a sound project that answers the call for clean energy. But in the years ahead, Penny and Hollett says attempts by Williams and Martin to defend the project won't mean anything. The findings of LeBlanc's report, they say, is all people will remember.
They're not facing the facts of the situation that we have in Newfoundland. And that's, it's sad, and it makes me very angry.
This was a political project from the beginning. It was the bastard child of ego and ambition. And the two principal architects of the ego and the ambition still think their project was right.
Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Justice Richard LeBlanc and Commission lawyers have declined all media requests for comment. In the 2 days since the release of the report, public anger does not seem to be subsiding. In about 20 minutes, 2 people who were dead set against the development from day one will join us in the Here Now studio. Well, to the courts now, where RNC Constable Joe Smythe has taken his boss, the chief of the RNC, to the Supreme Court. It's the latest in the saga involving the 19-year veteran officer. Smythe has a hearing set for next month to determine his future with the force. Chief Boland
Joe Smythe says it was
overseeing that process, but Smythe wants Boland removed from it. He says his boss is biased and has already made up his mind. This all stems from a motorcyclist's complaint filed in 2017. Smythe wrote the man tickets for running a red light when it didn't actually happen. His criminal conviction for obstruction of justice was overturned, and the charge was dismissed last year. Boland is refusing to step aside from that hearing. A Supreme Court justice will hear arguments from both sides later this month. Well, Here and Now has learned that as many as 12 employees at Her Majesty's Penitentiary have been suspended in connection with a homicide investigation. Tonight, those suspensions combined with sick leave has left the province's largest jail with a staffing crunch. As Here and Now's Ariana Kellen reports, the government and union are trying to work together to find a solution.
In a work environment like this, annual leave is a necessity.
It's very important for correctional officers to be able to step away from their work when they're able to and when they want to spend time with their family and just for their mental health.
But without new casual and temporary correctional officers, that well-needed time off won't come so easy. The shortage comes from officers on sick leave and an ongoing police investigation. Neither NAPE or the Department of Justice will confirm or deny any suspensions at HMP. However, CBC News has learned that about a dozen people have been suspended with pay while the RNC investigates the death of Jonathan Henoch, adding further strain to an already difficult workplace. Across Canada, correctional officers are at greater risk of suffering mental injuries like post-traumatic stress disorder. The job also comes with physical injury. NAPE President Jerry Earle says that's no different at HMP.
That's why we've been working now with the Department of Justice, management there, and the efforts they've put in over the past 2 weeks. When we've brought it to their attention, they've made every reasonable effort so far, I do believe, to alleviate the problem.
Prison officials aren't talking, but with sick leave and suspensions, the Department of Justice has been recruiting new faces. In 2009, the department says 18 graduates were hired on at the penitentiary and the St. John's lockup straight out of training. And now management is looking for more to bridge the gap. Jerry Earle is hopeful that everyone will get their annual leave, but he's waiting to see the outcome of job interviews to see how many replacements have been hired. Ariana Kellen, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, after 200 years, the remains of a Beothuk couple stolen from a grave in central Newfoundland are back in this province. Indigenous and provincial leaders were in St. John's last night to mark the occasion, and Here and Now's Mark Quinn was there.
This is, for me, a sacred moment in our history in Newfoundland. Very sacred indeed.
For the music group Eastern Owl, there was no more important place to be. A somber ceremony at the Rooms to mark the return of Beothuk remains to this province. The human remains of Nono Sabasut and Dumasduit.
After almost 200 years, they are finally home.
They were a Beothuk couple. He was killed by Europeans, she was kidnapped by them. After she died, their remains were stolen from a grave in central Newfoundland almost 2 centuries ago, taken to Europe and kept at the National Museums, Scotland.
And so it is a stark reminder of what colonialism can do and has done.
Tod Russell was one of 5 Indigenous leaders at the Rooms for last night's ceremony. That's where the remains will be held, but not displayed. Russell wants people to remember how the Beothuk Nation disappeared.
To reflect upon this sad and tragic and horrific period in our history. How that came to be in any day, in any age, is unacceptable.
Mi'kmaq Chief Mizel Joe is given credit for beginning the 5-year campaign to bring the remains back to Newfoundland. He thanked Premier Dwight Ball for helping make that happen, but he gently corrected Ball's statement that the Beothuk remains are now home.
And they're almost home. They're not quite home yet. They're in this museum. And I know that we have a long way to go. We have a lot of discussions to take place. And I'm sure it's not going to be easy discussions, but we will get there.
Joe doesn't want the remains to stay in yet another museum. He hopes that somehow they'll be returned to a resting place somewhere near their original gravesite. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
From ragged Irish descendants coming together, it's St. Patrick's Day.
When her husband died, she was very sorry, so she rolled him in a bag and she threw him in the quarry in the town that he made.
Well, with all the up and down lately, it wasn't a bad day, at least here in the St. John's area, right?
No, it
Kind of
was
stable.
lovely. Yeah.
Not freezing, not wet, not horrific.
No, it was actually kind of nice. Yeah, for sure.
So just before we get to that, we talked earlier about the closures and postponements happening because of coronavirus. Well, there is another impact to tell you about tonight, one that people certainly in this province and elsewhere kind of sad too.
Yeah, as you can see, Come From Away has suspended its production on Broadway, and that'll be disappointing for anyone who traveled to the Big Apple to take in the show about Gander at the height of 9/11.
And it's not the only show to be put on hold. Other big productions like Hamilton and The Lion King will also come to a stop this evening. A part-time usher and security guard who worked at 2 Broadway theaters in recent days apparently tested positive for COVID-19 and is under quarantine. And also, actually, I'm just sort of looking at Twitter here, and the NBL, the Basketball League in Canada, is now suspending the remainder of the 2019-2020 season until further notice. So these things are going quite quickly, no doubt. So lots of changes happening.
Yeah, all day
and
today.
thank you, Corey Davis, for bringing that to our attention. So we'll keep our eyes on this, and obviously you can go to our website, cbc.ca/NL, for the very latest as there more develops, because this is, as we say, a developing story.
Absolutely, yeah. Every day it'll be different.
Okay, today not too cold though. We got kind of what, -1-ish.
-1 here, yeah. In St. John's, that's where we sat, actually above 0 for parts of the West Coast. Let's take a look at those temperatures. 1 degree was recorded in Corner Brook, -3 in Deer Lake, and then we have those temperatures rebounding quite nicely for Lab City. -13 today, -35 when you woke up this morning, but temperatures still sitting there, and they're going to drop as we head through the night tonight, certainly for Lab City, and as we hang on to that ridge of high pressure. And then we've got temperatures in the minus single digits right now for the rest of the island. So here's what's going on. We did see some sunshine along the west coast today. And a few flurries moved through the rest of the province, or at least the rest of the island. Up through portions of coastal Labrador, we do have a special weather statement in effect. Now there's 2 of them in effect from Nain to Rigolette, and that's because the first one is the fact that we're seeing some blizzard conditions in the Hopedale area, and then blowing snow thanks to a system. The rest of these special weather statements are ahead of our next weather maker, and that's going to move in as we head towards the weekend. So here's a look at the snow that's affecting coastal Labrador and those strong winds. That's going to continue for the most part as we head through the night tonight. And then as far as the island goes, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Can't rule out the chance of a few more flurries either, but otherwise pretty quiet for the island. You'll see that snow spread a little bit further south as we head towards the morning hours. But eventually your winds will ease, so we should see conditions improving. Otherwise, those temperatures are going to dip into the minus double digits along the west coast, -12 for Corner Brook, -7 for Port aux Basques, so you're going to stay in those minus single digits. Marystown, -6, -8 for St. John's. And again, those winds generally north westerlies anywhere from 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, a little lighter along the west coast, but going to continue to see those stronger winds up through northern portions of Labrador. So northwesterlies 50 to about 70 kilometers per hour. So tomorrow that snow will generally stick around, but the winds will ease, so conditions will improve for coastal areas of Labrador. The island looks beautiful tomorrow. We should see plenty of sunshine, maybe a few clouds in the mix, but overall temperatures will be pretty similar to what we're seeing today. And then the next one will move in. We'll see some cloud cover move in, especially for Lab West. You'll see that snow move in towards the evening hours and eventually spread towards central as well. This one's a pretty big system. It is going to affect the majority of or pretty much all of the province by the time Saturday rolls around, at least Saturday morning. So you can see that snow spreading across as well. There is a little bit of a discrepancy in that. We will talk about that. But here's your temperatures for tomorrow across the board. Sunshine I have in there. West northwesterlies 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. A little breezy. And then towards central, and again, minus single digits right across the board. -2 for Corner Brook. Again, those winds generally light, 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. Northern Peninsula, you're looking at a lovely day as well. Again, lingering flurries possible for Cartwright, -2. -2 for Happy Valley Goose Bay as well. You're going to hang on to some of those milder temperatures. -11 for Lab City. So those winds will pick up late day. We do have a number of warnings in place. There's the special weather statements I was talking about. We'll talk about the wind warnings, how strong those winds are going to be, how much snow we're expecting when I come back.
A St. John's man is in jail tonight, the result of a joyride that turned deadly. Brandon Quilty was sentenced for dangerous driving causing the death of his friend. Ariana Kelland was in Supreme Court today.
Brandon Quilty arrived knowing he would be leaving in handcuffs. Even his own lawyer suggested 2 years and a day in a federal prison. This twisted metal is a 2008 Corvette. Then 22-year-old Brandon Quilty was behind the wheel, driving over 200 kilometers an hour on winding Blackhead Road. 27-year-old Justin Murrins was in the passenger seat. Without a seatbelt, he was ejected. Murrins died 2 days later in the same hospital operating room where his father works and is made to relive each working day. Today, Quilty still has no memory of the crash that shattered so many lives. In sentencing him, Supreme Court Justice Sandra Chater referenced those left behind. Mr. Quilty's so-called joyride has been a ride to sorrow for Mr. Murrin's family, she said. In keeping with the defense's recommendation, Chater sentenced Quilty to 2 years plus 1 day, a federal term but one on the lower end of the spectrum. Now 25, Quilty does not have a criminal record, but does have 10 prior convictions under the Highway Traffic Act. The most recent happened just 10 days before the fatal crash. His crimes, Chater says, will follow him far beyond prison. He will live with the consequences of his actions for the rest of his life. He killed his friend. Once he's released, Quilty will be banned from driving for 5 years. After Brandon Quilty was escorted out of the courtroom, there were no cries of joy or of happiness, just sorrow. As Justin Murrin's mother told the court, there are no winners in this process. Ariana Kelland, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, despite complaints, a developer who wants to build a boutique hotel on top of Atlantic Place isn't budging on the overall design. The plan to put a hotel on top of the 8-story downtown parking garage has been in the works for years. At a public meeting last night, residents weren't on side, but the head of the project says the aesthetics aren't up for debate.
The hotels that are here are chain hotels, flagged hotels, and we want to do something different. We want to do something that's more unique, that's more interesting.
We're justifying it by saying that Atlantic Place is ugly, the parking garage is ugly. Atlantic Place was a mistake, blocking the view of the courthouse, blocking the view of the city stepping up the hill. It is the wrong building, it's the wrong design for our geography.
They've been the most outspoken, thorough critics of Muskrat Falls for a generation, 10 years. But these guys were accused of being bottom feeders. Justice LeBlanc says it turns out they were right. Well, back now to the continuing fallout from this week's Muskrat Falls Inquiry Report. Nobody could blame my next guest for saying "I told you so" in light of the findings and recommendations. Des Sullivan and David Vardy are founding members of the Muskrat Falls Concerned Citizens Coalition, and since 2010 they have been the most vocal, focused, and persistent opponents of this mega project, and they join me in studio. Welcome to the program.
Good to be here.
I can't imagine that either one of you derives any pleasure from being in the position to be able to say "I told you so," but what were your feelings now that a judge in an exhaustive report has essentially come out and said, you guys are right?
The feeling we have is that we failed the grade. We failed because our intent was to stop this project because we knew it was going to be very devastating for the province. Now we're there, so we take no sense of comfort in the fact that we were right. Problem is we didn't stop this. We couldn't stop this. We didn't get the momentum going that was needed to do it. But when you read the report, you know, it's so clear that all the things that we said were all now confirmed. They are indeed confirmed in spades.
Des Sullivan, your thoughts?
Well, this was surely to be a debacle. The numbers just weren't there. It never ever made any sense. So how could it suddenly make sense in 2012 when if you looked at the population and how it was going in the province, you looked at real demand as opposed to the contrived version that Nalcor wanted to impose. If you looked at electricity rates, export prices in the spot market in New England,
right.
They were all on the decline, so that there was no market that was going to pay any money for most of this power.
And as you were trying to make these cases, the vitriol got to a certain level. I mean, you were finding yourselves fighting the establishment and the supporters of this project. What made you stick with it?
I think that what made us stick with this was the fact that we knew it was a grave threat to all of us and to our children and our children's children. And it's so big that we had to stay with it. We knew it was an existential threat to our society, and we had to do something about it. And we hoped that we would gather enough people to really look into the issue, find out whether there's a business case behind this plan, and just try to measure just how serious it is. And I think that's what we've done. We've measured it. We've been able to measure the problem.
Des Sullivan, one of the findings and the theme of the report seems to be that measures were taken to ensure, despite whatever the evidence was, this thing's going to happen.
Yes.
You've written about this. Justice LeBlanc identifies some key Nalcor executives. They're still working there, still making six-figure salaries. What should happen? Is there any point in heads rolling? Here we are, 2020. You've been at this for a decade. Would there be any point in firing people?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, it should be made clear that the judge tells everyone that this thing was predetermined. And an awful lot went into an awful lot of deceit, a lot of deception with Nalcor to government, Nalcor to the board, Nalcor to the public. I mean, there was an awful amount of deceit that went on here, and that some, perhaps not all, but some of the people mentioned in that report participated in that whole regime of deceptive behavior. That's really an affront to decent government, an affront to the public who expect their government. I mean, how often over the years have I heard people say, Des, what are you getting on with this for? Government would never do this to the public. It would never destroy the public treasury in this way. Well, you know, the fact is now, I think certain messages have to be sent to the public service. There's got to be a message to the public as well that we have a standard in this province, a requirement for decent, honest government. And if you got to send that message, you need to do it by saying to people who participated in this sordid situation, you got to go because you don't represent the values that we want in the public service. And secondly, we have to say to the public service, this is never to happen again, and to say to the public,
okay,
we are taking care of this, at least that problem.
All right, I only have about a minute left. I want to get your quick thoughts. Ed Martin, and Danny Williams have put out statements, unrepentant. The project is still a good thing. It made sense. It still made sense. There was bias against them through this entire inquiry process. Your thoughts?
The question of predetermination comes to mind, and that's one of the issues that the former Premier raised. And you know, public institutions were undermined when the Public Utilities Board was taken out of this thing. Public institutions were undermined when there was an exemption order preventing the Public Utilities Board from applying modern technology in terms of looking at integrated resource planning. But the key thing here is that we weren't allowed to look at the alternatives, the options. So yes, there was a predetermination because you couldn't look at anything else. Any attempt to look at alternatives was always being prejudiced, was always compromised by virtue of interference, meddling with reports that were being prepared, particularly the MHI report, but a whole host of reports. But I think the fundamental thing is that there was an order in council that could have been changed. The exemption order could have been changed so easily by a new government. It was put in place by the previous Tobin government, but it was the subsequent Conservative government that actually decided they wanted to go ahead with this project, and they did not want to allow the Public Utilities Board to look at options. So yes, it was predetermined. The evidence in the report is overwhelming that this was predetermined.
You get the final word on this, Mr. Sullivan?
If we're looking for $500 million next year for rate mitigation, where and how do we have a successful project? These guys are into denial. They need to take a serious look at their role in this, and they deserve at least minimally a significant and sincere apology to the people of the province, because the people of the province are going to be paying for their mistake for a good many years to come.
All right. I have a feeling we'll be talking again. I'm not sure what the future for your coalition holds, but thank you so much for coming on tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Well, one of the two people vying for the province's top job is weighing in on the Muskrat Falls report. John Abbott says if he is our next premier, he will take action and heads will roll. So, Mr. Abbott, multiple people were named in the Muskrat Falls report, executives here at Nalcor as well as government officials. Why do you think they should be fired immediately?
Well, Carolyn, the Justice LeBlanc report is very comprehensive on the Muskrat Falls project. He's done a great service to the province. But the fact is that in his findings, there were people, both at Nalcor and government, who violated their ethical and professional principles, and they now need to be removed from their positions. Ideally, I think they should resign, but if that doesn't happen, then they need to be terminated, and I know the minister has declined that action, so I think it's now time for the premier to step forward to do just that.
And Stan Marshall, the CEO of Nalcor, says he has no intention of getting rid of Gilbert Bennett specifically. He says that would be bad for the project going forward, that it would be like cutting off your nose to spite your face. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm very disappointed in Mr. Marshall's response. I mean, the judge had a job to do, and he's done it for the province. Nobody is above the law, as it were, and the project has to withstand, a single person or persons to complete the work. If that is the case, then the project is obviously in much more serious jeopardy than even we know. So the chain of command now would require that Mr. Marshall, ask for Mr. Bennett's resignation, and others will have to step forward.
So if you become premier, will those people lose their jobs?
I would assume by the time that happens, they wouldn't be in their positions. But if that is the case, then I would have to say yes. And the other factor here is that we have to realize that the chair of the board is also, in a predicament in the fact that he has supported my competitor. We have asked that for his resignation. That hasn't happened. So there's a significant governance issue brewing here at Nalcor. The premier has to step forward now and address it.
And the premier believes this is serious enough to refer the report to police. Do you think that crimes were committed here and that people should be charged?
I really have no comment on that. I know it's been referred to the Department of Justice and through the police, and they'll do their job. But the issue at play here is professional ethics. I have been a senior executive in government. If that was the situation that I faced, I would not be in my position today.
Well, John Abbott, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, obviously there's a lot to cover on this, and you can check out more on our website, cbc.ca/NL. Now, we didn't get a chance to talk to the other Liberal contender, Andrew Furey, today. He wasn't available, but we do plan to speak to Dr. Furey tomorrow. Now, jumping into our House of Assembly time machine now, we're going to go back a ways. Here and Now has dug up an interesting moment. This is from the Muskrat Falls filibuster 8 years ago, December of 2012, and NDP leader Lorraine Michael had this to say about the Muskrat Falls project and had this hope for 2020.
When I look at a project of this size, $9 billion, and with these ifs that are out there, these hopes that are out there, I find it really hard to understand how they're not terrified. I am. It's not that I want it to fail. I hope for the sake of the people in this province. I hope for the sake of our being able to have programs that people need in this province. I hope for the sake of the people who are going to be paying much higher prices for electricity. I hope beyond hope that I'm going to be proven absolutely wrong, and that by 2020, please goodness, somebody's going to be able to say to me, well, Lorraine, you know, it worked out okay. But at this moment, the questions that I have are not just my questions. They're not just the questions of the 5 of us who are elected in this House. They are the questions of thousands of people. They are the questions of experts out there, of economists out there. I meet with economists too. They're not the only ones who meet with economists. And the economists I meet with have a lot of questions and fears about this project.
This is a day that family and friends gather to recall the 17 lives lost in the Cougar helicopter crash 11 years ago, remembering Cougar Flight 491. Today marks the 11th anniversary of the Cougar helicopter crash. Mechanical issues forced the pilot to ditch the aircraft during its flight to the Sea Rose vessel. Of the 18 people on board, only 1 survived. And each year, family and friends gather at the site where the flight departed, including Lori Chin.
I come to the fence every year. A lot of sadness, a lot of anxiety. It's just like it all floods back.
What do you remember most about your husband?
Oh, just his personality. He's bigger than life. He was smart and witty and stubborn and very motivated and determined person. Yeah, he loved music, loved the outdoors, loved living in Newfoundland, especially the West Coast. Today I'm having some lunch now with friends, one of the wives actually, and that's usually what I do is spend some time there, spend some time with childhood friends that we have in here who live in here, so they go to the service and we get together or whatever and we go to the service.
You by Belltone, your partner in better hearing.
Right, some of us semi-spoiled with not so bad weather for March, but what's coming?
Well, it's the weekend, so that means there's another system on the way, right? That's exactly what that means. Let's take a look at the special weather statements and wind warnings that are now in effect from Environment Canada. This is, again, because of what's going to happen on Saturday. So those wind warnings, I put, here's a future tracker. I put the winds on there for you just to kind of show you what's going to happen. So that snow is going to move in for Labrador in the evening tomorrow and then continue through the early morning hours. Now pay attention to the winds along the west coast. Upwards, Port aux Basques showing 120 kilometers per hour in exposed areas, or rather areas that are prone to southeasterlies. These gusts could be upwards of about 140 kilometers per hour in some cases. The Wreck House area likely 150. Now, those wind warnings are only along the coast right now, but if we continue to see that snow move, you can see the winds pick up along the south coast, even towards the Avalon as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see those wind warnings extended into Saturday morning. So this is Saturday morning. You can see that mix there, either some ice pellets or some freezing rain, very likely for most of eastern Newfoundland. Otherwise, towards the west coast, this looks like a mainly snow event. We could see some rain and or freezing rain in the early half of the day, but it moves through quite quickly. Now up through Labrador, this will continue to stay as strong as snow, rather heavy at times, 70 to 80 kilometer per hour gusts expected for you. But as that moves out, we actually will see some clearing into the afternoon through parts of central. Then we get back into that onshore flow, which means coastal onshore flurries were more than likely along the west coast. But again, most of Labrador, you're going to hang on to the snow through the day, and then we'll see some clearing into the afternoon for the rest of the province. And then by the time the evening rolls around, that snow will continue to spread further east. So it is a little bit of a mess. Those temperatures should reach the mid-single digits though through the day before they drop into the evening hours. This is where we should be sitting. Again, keeping that risk of freezing rain in along the south coast as well as eastern Newfoundland at this point. -7 will be your afternoon high in Lab City, -3 for Happy Valley Goose Bay. So these temperatures are actually going to stay quite mild. Now, this is an early look at the forecast models as far as the snow accumulation. It looks like a solid 20 to as much as 30 centimeters of snow for most of Labrador, and then we're going to keep an eye on the west coast because that's, even though that's where that heaviest snow looks like it will be, this is what we're looking at this point. So over the next 5 days, we're looking at temperatures up and down 5 degrees and then back down below zero. The beginning of next week, we're looking at some sunshine through at least the first half of the week anyway. That's the case through central Newfoundland as well, but those temperatures are going to dip into the minus double digits overnight into Monday. For western Newfoundland, you're looking at temperatures in the minus single digits, certainly for Monday into -7, and then up through eastern Labrador, temperatures generally sitting in the minus single digits, overnight lows dipping a little bit as well, but overall not too bad.
Going to get back to our series called Drawn to It. In this second installment, we'll introduce you to Emily Pittman, who is an abstract artist who always brings a sense of home and a little bit of house paint to her work.
I'm Emily Pittman. I'm an artist and I love to paint. I love to paint houses because they just are such a part of how we see ourselves. They're so ingrained with our identity, where we live, where we grew up, all of the houses that we associate with our memories. And so they're just so tied to this idea of home. And like, what does home mean? It's different for every single person. So I guess I love to paint houses because it's just an exploration of that idea. I usually start with some kind of sketch, whether that is a physical sketch, maybe in watercolor or pencil, or a digital sketch to kind of play with color, play with those contrasts and get my ideas out. And then I'll move that into a collage or into a painting and explore the permanent idea. The colors that I work with are the colors that I see around me, especially in our home of Newfoundland. There's color in everything. I start a painting or a collage with a house paint color. And I love working with house paint, not only because it's so tied to my subject matter. I also love how it creates a really nice contrast with oil paint. I've always loved to create. It's just been a part of me since I was little. I grew up with my mother and grandmother sewing, knitting, doing embroidery, quilting. The first time I got to pick the color from my childhood bedroom was purple, so I pulled from that color a lot. It was a favorite color of mine when I was a kid. My grandmother's house, she loves to paint all of her interior walls yellow, whether it's the kitchen, the bathroom, every wall in her house is yellow. So I pull from my memories like that, and I think we all have memories of people and places that we love, and they're so tied with color. So I think I like to explore that in painting as well. I love how abstract art is limitless. What you can do within that discipline is just so exciting, and you can really put a part of yourself into the work, but I also love how every person who sees a work puts a little bit of themselves onto it as well. For example, when I paint a house, I'm not telling somebody the address, I'm not telling them any kind of specifics about that house, so they can put their own memories onto it.
Well, there you go.
Going right to the picture.
Right to the picture, and we were already here tonight. This photo was taken in Twillingate, Winter Serenity. This is Back Harbor, and Gordon Jones shared us that photo.
That part of Twillingate.
That
Okay.
part of Twillingate, yes.
A little bit of a trick. Thank you, Gordon.
Great shot there, Gordon. Thank you so much for sending that, and he shared that with me on my Facebook page. But if you have any photos you'd like to share with us, you can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca as well.
Please do. Man, the show just flew
Flew
by.
by.
A lot of news tonight. Thanks you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.